For those of you who used last night's game plan, you should have had a phenomenal green day. The most likely outcome ended up repeating in a very similar cycle. If you use the levels, the information, the curriculum that I provided within the game plan, you could have made money trading both ways, buying call options towards the exact lows into the market open session when there was clear bullish 30-minute candlestick confirmations and SPY was clearly holding that 562 level, right? Riding it back up to fill the gap that was waiting to fill above. And you are well aware the only levels that I gave you for put options in the starting point was at the gap, which was literally the exact highs of day for the overall SPY. And there was a clear red bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmation later into the day once we hit the put zone where the SPY had a massive sell-off. So if you use the game plan, you could have been buying call options towards the exact lows, selling towards the exact peak, and then you could have switched to puts, bought puts at the exact lows, selling towards the exact peak, making money, trading both ways using the information provided in last night's game plan. With that being said, I'm going to continue to prepare you to trade the best setups at the best prices. Let's get straight into the analysis. So in terms of the overall new game plan, going to start off with that. Then we're going to go over in terms of today's overall market recap and price action. Now, with that being said, this is what I want you to be aware of, right? So in terms of the pattern that I'm seeing right now, this is what it looks like in a sense to me. It looks like you could see right here, we have this move to the upside. We have this move to the upside. Then we start to downtrend. Then we start to downtrend. You can say it looks like this in a sense as well. We have this move to the upside, move to the upside. Then we start to have this sharp downtrend. Then we start to have this sharp downtrend. And even right now, we are currently gapping down. The SPY ended up closing at 563.51. That's going to be the previous closing price. In terms of the most likely outcome heading into tomorrow is going to be a bullish trend day for the SPY to start to explode up and fill the gap just like it did today. So in terms of the game plan, we are now seeing a similar pattern, right, in a similar cycle compared to last night's game plan, where the game plan in a sense is very, very close to being identical. Except what makes this one even more special in a sense is because it's more oversold. You know, it's like using the same exact game plan that I gave you in a sense in terms of yesterday, except this time we're planning to do it at more oversold levels. That's going to trigger a massive reversal, a massive bounce, a massive fucking recovery, man. So in a sense, it's going to be very, very similar to last night's game plan. We're just going to be buying at oversold levels, right? So basically, in terms of this is the most likely outcome heading into tomorrow, if we are opening up with a gap down lower than the previous closing price, right? The most likely outcome is it's going to be an overall bullish trend day, right? In terms of this overall pattern, we did end up dropping a bit. You could see in terms of the market open session, we had a massive drop with this similar pattern that I'm pointing out here. Within just 30 minutes, we dropped from 548 all the way to 541.50, right? So in terms of this situation, the morning recovery is expected to be earlier into the day. But you don't want to get caught up in a massive pullback, right? Because if we're dropping straight down and it's a massive move within the first 30 minutes to 1 hour, you don't want to get caught up that in a sense, right? But as long as you hold your call options and play for the overall most likely potential trend heading into tomorrow, you should do well regardless, you know, even if it drops first, right? So with that being said, based off of what I'm seeing, it is strongly recommended that you look for some sort of double bottom on the 30-minute chart. You look for a green bullish 30-minute candlestick on the 30-minute chart. You look for a green, red, green on the 30-minute chart. You look for a break and retest, right? So let me show you some confirmations. Green, red, green. This is bullish, right? You could have used this pre-market 30-minute candlestick right here. Green, bullish 30-minute candlestick confirmation right here with an hour of support starting to recover. That's bullish, right? Instead of just blindly buying into this big red candle right here. And another strategy that you can use is a break and retest for more of a confirmation when the SPY has not just bottomed for a reversal, trying to capture a falling knife, which can be done properly if you have the right strategy, which is a combination of levels, most likely outcomes, and 30-minute candlestick confirmations. But another strategy that you can use in terms of more timing the trend properly, right? In less of a falling knife situation would be a break and retest. You can just identify resistance. So like right here, this is resistance, resistance, resistance. The highs of this 90-minute worth of price action in the 30-minute candlesticks is all resistance, right? This is your break. It's starting to break above this 90 minutes of resistance. And then you can see the 30-minute candlestick is starting to close above the previous 30 minutes. That's a break and retest, green and bullish. And then the trend starts to go bullish, right? So in terms of capturing the falling knife, if you're going to try to do it, this is what I would say. I would say you need a sense of the timing where it can potentially bottom, the best levels where it can potentially bottom, and the confirmations. I explained to you some simple confirmations to look for: green, red, green, trend reversal 30-minute candlestick patterns, green bullish 30-minute candlestick patterns. As a matter of fact, you can go back throughout the 10-day 30-minute chart and you can just study how the 30-minute candlesticks looked, right? When the SPY bottomed. Whenever the SPY had a bottom, started to reverse, had a massive move to the upside, you can just study what the 30-minute candlesticks look like to get a sense of a similar pattern that can repeat in a similar cycle heading into tomorrow. Now, let's talk about levels. So, in terms of levels, this is what you need to be aware of, right? In terms of some interesting levels that you need to keep an eye on, this is going to be the first zone. You need to keep an eye on this first zone. The SPY has been consistently reversing at gaps both ways. The unique gap close reversal trading strategy that I've created is working non-stop. So in terms of the next gap that we have waiting to fill below is going to be right here at 558.50. 558.50 is not only a gap close reversal level, and in terms of short-term trends that have been repeating itself, the SPY has been consistently reversing at the gaps, which is another confirmation of a trend that can potentially repeat in a similar cycle, right? But what you need to be aware of is this is also aligned with the break and retest strategy. There is resistance here at 558.50. The SPY had a massive breakout above this resistance level, right? So it had a massive overreaction to the upside once it broke above 558.50. So once we drop back down to retest this resistance level, it's going to try to bounce first and react to support in between this resistance right here at 557.77 and 558.50 gap close reversal level, right? And another thing that makes this special is there is a strategy that I've developed in terms of most likely to bounce in reverse, where if you use extended hours levels, based off the overreaction, when we hit this overall zone right here during the normal trading hours session for the first time, the most likely outcome is a bounce first. I've studied key situations with history and patterns repeating a similar cycle, and I've noticed in particular situations like this where you have an overreaction to the upside, a break and retest, a gap close reversal with everything stacked within our favor in alignment. This really does make sense where the normal trading hours, session, once this level gets tested, it bounces for the first time, right? Now, in terms of the level below that, the level in the zone below that is going to be the same strategy I just taught you, except in this particular situation, it's even more oversold, which is even better. If it's more oversold and it hits that level, I'm automatically getting in. I'm not questioning it. I am automatically getting in. That would be the best level possible, man. Take a look. This is previous resistance at 554. This is the breakout, the overreaction to the upside. This is the retest. During extended hours trading session. It's already been having successful break and retest during the extended hours trading session. So once we hit this oversold level during the normal trading hours session, then the most likely outcome is going to be a bounce first, using the break and retest strategy, using the gap close reversal strategy at 554.50. If you use this information and trade these levels, you should be printing at the speed of fucking light. You should be questioning on why you would ever choose to go red again when you can just use the game plan with the curriculum. It works nonstop, man. I'm literally showing you the best setups at the best prices. That is the absolute best setups that you can possibly trade heading into this week. Use the information, use the confirmations in terms of a level, in terms of like trying to capture a falling knife. If we were to try to capture a falling knife and just buy in terms of an automation level, obviously this 555, 554 zone would be the best level to do that. Absolute best level. And then below that, I would literally just look to scale in, man, right? The higher zone and the higher level is at 558.50, but you have to be hyper aware in terms of these patterns and strategies that the SPY has been consistently reversing at the gaps. The SPY has been having very successful break and retest on these overreactions to the upsides, overreactions to the downsides. These two setups that I'm showing you are the best setups that the market has to offer. So I would genuinely question anyone who is not trading these setups. They are genuinely the best setups possible within the market. So you should put your entire focus and your intuition into these setups. It's the best setup at the best price possible. I'm putting you on to the best curriculum in the game that I've created. So I would really encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity and to apply your experience to trading with this information. I'm telling you, man, if you use what I'm showing you and apply it and you put your all into it, you're going to see a massive shift within your experience of trading. And you're really going to start to question other strategies, other habits that you're doing with your trading when you can genuinely just wait to trade the best setups at the best prices. The market is giving us this rare opportunity to experience this, but you have to show up and use the information, the levels, the curriculum. You have to put everything within your favor, stack everything within your favor. Don't just blindly make moves into this, right? We understand the most likely outcomes. We even understand the levels where we would just automatically buy into the falling knife. We understand the proper times to do it, during the market open session based off this overall pattern, especially if we're selling off hard into the open and we get that first 30-minute green candlestick, right? We know what to do. Use all this information to your advantage. You're going to be printing money at the speed of light, and you're genuinely going to realize that losing is a personal choice if you choose to not lose. I'm telling you, man. It's genuinely a personal fucking choice. If you apply this information that I'm saying, it's like, you'll be green. You'll be printed at the speed of light. What was last night's game plan? Do you remember the levels? I told you. If the SPY is holding this zone, the most likely outcome is, this was the zone I gave you. If it's holding the zone, the most likely outcome is, it's not going to go to the lower levels. It's going to keep on spiking, and it's going to fill the gap. That's literally exactly what I said. So there was a floor here for hours. The SPY is forming support for hours. How can you tell that this is support? Look at all the bottom wicks. These are all bottom bullish wicks. Are you seeing this? Bottom bullish wicks. Look at the bearish wicks. These are some bearish wicks, right? Top wick. However, it's forming higher support. That means it's less relevant to be bearish. It may be perceived as bearish in terms of the appearance, but where it's placed is on a break and retest. This was resistance. This is the retest. It's forming higher support. That's why you genuinely need to see the layers in the placement behind the appearance. There's candlesticks on the 30-minute chart that appear bearish, but they're placed in a situation on a break and retest strategy forming higher support where it's not bearish. It's actually bullish because the SPY is forming a higher floor for a long time, and it might be forming some bearish 30-minute candlesticks, but they're forming out higher support, which is considered bullish. And if you just looked, we held the key zone for hours, and then we had the break and retest. The 30-minute candlestick is closing above the previous resistance. That's bullish. This is confirmation of buy calls. Ride for the gap to fill above. The 30-minute candlestick right here is bullish, and it looks very, very similar. not only to this 30-minute candlestick, but to this 30-minute candlestick right here. And when that happened, what did the SPY do? It pushed higher. It pushed higher. Started to fill this gap. And then you can see right here, this was your new previous resistance, 564.22. This was your breakout. This was your retest. Green, red, green. Pattern works. Strategy works. Identify resistance. Doesn't just have to be resistance. It could be literally not just the previous high of the 30-minute candle, but the previous closing price of the 30-minute candle. Break, retest, higher support, green bullish wick, right? And then if you just look at the pattern, the exact curriculum that I teach, green, red, green. If you trade how I trade, the exact way I'm teaching you, you're going to print money non-fucking stop. I genuinely don't understand how anyone can be red if they use the game plan. I just genuinely don't understand. If someone watched the video that I posted last night and they've been using the curriculum, they've been using it the right way, how in the world could anybody be red if they applied the overall game plan? So I would really start to question that, man. That was a genuine test in terms of your shift with trading and your experience trading. This was one of the easiest days to be green. Using the system that I teach, this was genuinely the easiest fucking day to be green and to print money at the speed of fucking light. So I would genuinely look into the fucking mirror if you're, trying your absolute best and applying the game plan and question what the fuck you're doing, because I'm telling you, it does not get easier than that. This was a buy zone. This was a floor for hours. This was breaks and retest. This was green, red, fucking green, right? And it just kept on fucking going up to fill the gap. And I told you, the only level for puts was starting at the fucking gap, which was the exact fucking highs on the fucking day. And of course, if you look at the fucking confirmation, red bearish 30-minute facing to the downside. One of the most bearish confirmations, you could see right here, this was similar in a way. You had this red trend reversal. Whenever the SPY was forming these like red trend reversal candlesticks, it dropped the next 30 minutes. So it forms this time with a fucking death candle facing to the downside at the highest fucking level using the gap close reversal strategy to buy fucking puts. You could have printed both ways. We had the massive spike to fill the fucking gap. The most likely outcome printed to an exact fucking T. The pattern that I brought awareness to, which is something that nobody fucking else brought awareness to. Why the fuck is that? Maybe there's people in the stock market who don't capture patterns. They don't look at patterns the way that I look at patterns. And they don't understand that patterns could repeat in a similar cycle. Or there could be a break of pattern, a break of trend. And you have to be able to identify not only what the pattern is, but identify, is this pattern repeating in a similar fucking cycle? Are we in a similar loop? Or is there a break of pattern, a break of trend? There's opportunities both fucking ways, not trading fucking blind, saying, yeah, this pattern's going to repeat itself. The most likely outcome is going to repeat itself. Using confirmations, using levels, using curriculum to find the right patterns to trade and to be able to identify both ways. If there's going to be a break of pattern, a break of fucking trend, man, I'm putting you on to game-changing information where it's going to change your fucking... It's going to shift your entire fucking trading career. It's going to shift your entire fucking experience. You use this curriculum, you're going to print so much money at the speed of fucking light. So, the most likely outcome printed to an exact fucking T, man. With that being said, you should have had a phenomenal green day, man. Like I'm saying, man, if you're just like... It doesn't get more easier than this. If you use the game plan, you use the curriculum, it just doesn't get more easier than this. Literally, the first level I gave you for puts was the fucking peak. And the confirmation was red and fucking bearish with an hour of fucking resistance. And the SPY kept on fucking dropping after every 30 minutes once it started forming that red trend reversal 30-minute candlestick. So if you genuinely just dissect, if you fucking dissect this 30-minute chart to an exact fucking T, just understanding when reversals occur, patterns, break of patterns, strategies, break and retest, breakdown and retest. If you look at the patterns the right way, you look at the 30-minute chart the right way, you're going to see that this is literally the strongest foundation that you can use from a technical point of view within your overall trading. You're going to see this is literally going to be 80%. This is going to be like 80% of the overall trading. It's the strongest foundation. It literally gets you in at the best fucking entry. And once you have a strategy where you have the best entry, then you start to realize the hardest part about trading is where to exit, and exiting comes from more 30-minute candlestick confirmations, patterns, 1-minute chart as well. That gets more advanced. But like I said, we've hit a point where literally the hardest part about trading is the exit. We have the entire system mastered on what to do with zero-day options. It's just the hardest point. It's just where to fucking exit. But we have systems that help us in still exiting, like adding to winners, setting profit stops, selling into moves at key levels, leaving runners detached from profit stops, right? But anyways, man, that's the most likely outcome. That's what I want you to focus on. Now, this is what I want you to understand in terms of price ladder, right? So in terms of price ladder, you can use these levels heading into the rest of this week. Make sure to subscribe to keep up to date with in terms of, strategies with the overall price ladder, most likely outcomes with the overall price ladder. But in terms of, most likely outcomes, like I said, if we drop, we're looking for oversold dip buying opportunities first. Obviously, we can drop more within the first 30 minutes to an hour or even more. You just got to wait for the proper signals of a confirmation. Unless you're going to try to blindly buy into the falling knife, the best fucking level to do that would be at 554.50, right? But anyways, these are some fucking amazing levels, man. This level right here, this is a very special level, 551. Very interested in calls at that level. That's a break and retest, very special level, along with this red 30-minute candlestick pattern that I've been showing you throughout the past videos. Next level above that is going to be 554. Break and retest, gap close reversal, auto buy calls there. Also auto buy calls at 551. And next level above that is going to be this 558 to 557.70 zone. That's your more higher level with the same strategy here, the break and retest and the gap close reversal. SPY has been consistently reversing above the gaps. What's the next level above this 558.60? Next level above that is going to be this 560 to 561 zone. Next level above that is going to be the gap at 563.51. Next level above the gap is going to be right here towards this 565 to 565.40. Next level above that is going to be 566.72. Next level above that is 568.38. So those are the overall following levels. And like I said, once we go above 568, we go into the low 570s, likely going to drop first in those low 570s. Above that would be 576. And just understand as well, in terms of all the curriculum that I've been teaching you with the price action, 30-minute candlestick charts, patterns, reading the charts, if one of the levels does react bearish, it goes down to the next level. If one of the levels reacts bullish, it goes up to the next levels. So I want you to continue to focus on the break and retest strategy and the breakdown and retest strategy. I want you to continue to focus on capturing 30-minute patterns. You're looking for 30-minute patterns. And when you're looking at these 30-minute patterns, you need to understand the placement of the pattern, right? If the placement is on a break and retest strategy and we're forming higher support, then it's considered overall bullish, even if a potential bearish candlestick happens to form. But it gets more advanced than that, right? And then in terms of breakdown and retest, just remember placement, right? We have a breakdown below support, spikes back up, forms lower highs. Look for the retest, look for the red bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmations, right? Look for placements, right? Strategies offer placements. Gap close reversals offer placements for reversals, right? Break and retest offer placements for a continued trend of a bullish trend for a potential level to get in. Breakdown and retest offers placements for a continued bearish trend. And you can not just use it for bullish and bearish trends, you can also use those strategies for potential reversals, right? So use the levels, use the information. You're going to print at the speed of light with this game plan, man. There's not another person who gave you a game plan like that. You understand? This is coming from over a decade of experience, coming from the divine. This is a magical fucking game plan that I'm sharing with you, man. And I'm telling you, the game plans are going to continue to print. They're going to print nonstop. It's very simplified. And I'm telling you, if you're looking for a lot of simplicity within your trading and you're looking for the edge, the biggest edge in terms of the educational technical view from this trading, when you're trading that 30-minute chart, you need to look at the patterns. Look at the patterns on the 30-minute chart. Look at when the SPY was on an uptrend and it was having a successful uptrend, breaking out and retesting. And look at the SPY when it was in a successful uptrend, but it was forming bearish 30-minute candlesticks. You know, why is that? The 30-minute candlesticks were bearish, but in terms of this bullish uptrend, they were placed in a certain way where it was bullish. And it can have to do with other things like the daily chart as well, most likely outcomes, right? And certain strategies, right? Not just the break and retest, right? And those strategies are not just used for trends. They can also be used for trend reversals. That's where it gets a bit more advanced. You need to understand in terms of certain levels, where we're having a trend reversal, right? For example, this is where it gets more advanced, right? You can say that there was resistance, right? So this is a very valid point in terms of what I'm trying to explain to you. This was resistance right here. The SPY had a breakout above the resistance, and it was holding support for an hour, but it was also forming resistance for an hour. So it's kind of in between there. It's forming some support, but it's forming some resistance, but this is a very bearish 30-minute candlestick. But we're still forming a higher floor. We're still fucking forming a higher floor above the resistance, and it's pushing higher. So some people would perceive that to be bullish, even though this 30-minute candlestick is bearish, right? But this is where it gets more advanced. How was the SPY reacting on the 30-minute chart today when it was forming these red 30-minute candlesticks towards some resistance? It would drop next 30 minutes. It would drop next 30 minutes, right? I'm showing you the game. And then in terms of most likely outcomes, we were well aware that the SPY was a put zone once it fills the gap. And once it started to fill the gap, it formed a red bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmation, and this was an hour of resistance, but it was also an hour of some higher technical support, right? But the most likely outcome said this was a put zone and to stay away from calls. And last night's game plan explained to you why that is. That's why I'm trying to explain to you there's layers to this, and you genuinely need to dissect each layer accordingly. In order to do that, you need to have the deck. You need to have the cards within the deck. If you don't have the cards within the deck, you're not going to know what to look for. You're not going to know what to look for, right? So like I said, man, I'm putting you onto the deck. I'm showing you the cards to look for. I'm explaining to you the curriculum. It can get far more advanced. This was a very valid point in terms of we basically identified a clear trend reversal, even though the SPY was breaking out and retesting. We had no interest in buying fucking calls here, right? We were interested in the gap close reversal. There was a red bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmation. And then in terms of more confirmations, it would drop next 30 minutes every single time today. It formed resistance. So you need to have a very sharp eye for capturing 30-minute candlestick patterns in real time and seeing through the layers. You need to understand that it's not just as simple sometimes as a break and retest or a breakdown retest. And the reason why that is, we can have a bullish trend and there could be a break and retest, or we can have a bearish trend, there could be a breakdown and retest, but you can use those strategies as trend reversals as well. Not just to follow the trend, but to identify trend reversals. And that could be done throughout overreactions. It gets far more advanced, man. Like I said, we've determined a clear foundation that the SPY has been reversing at the gaps, right? And this is a clear overreaction to the downside, overreaction to the upside, likely going to drop first. You need to understand the most likely outcome. You need to understand how to see the market at all angles, but what the most likely outcome is out of all those angles and what it truly is, right? So I'm telling you, man, you need the entire deck. You need to be able to see the most likely outcome within that deck. You need to be able to see the 30-minute patterns that are repeating in similar cycles throughout the past 10 days and 30 minutes, even throughout the same day, right? In terms of pattern recognition, what I've noticed is patterns tend to be extremely accurate when they're short-term patterns that are repeating themselves, right? That's why you're going to see me in terms of focusing a lot on the 10-day, 30-minute chart rather than going back and looking for a 30-minute pattern past 60 days or 90 days or something like that. I'm not necessarily looking or interested as a day trader in trading for a rarity when trading the 30-minute chart, looking for some rare pattern that's not there throughout the past 60, 90 days that's just not showing up and I'm trying to make a trade. I'm more interested, in my experience, this tend to works best when you're trading for the micro, when you're trading the 30-minute chart, is just to focus on short-term patterns, short-term cycles that are repeating itself. Is there a loop here? Is there a pattern here that's repeating itself? Is there a breakup pattern? Is there a breakup trend? So look, man, use this information. You're going to print money at the speed of light. I hope last night's video genuinely awakened you in some sort of way. I hope this video awakened you in some sort of way. I really want to see a lot of you shift. You need to understand, man, in this world, there's portals opening, there's shifts happening in real time. And I'm seeing it, man. I'm seeing it happening a lot right now. And that's something that you guys need to be aware of. You need to be aware of that there's a lot of people in this world who are going through shifts and they're going through awakenings right now. And, that can reflect in all areas of life, man, so much deeper than just trading. So, you should also be aware of that. You should be very aware of that. Because you can be going through a potential shift or, a shift or awakening, or someone is potentially in your life right now, some sort of connection. And then you're seeing, whoa, this connection is shifting. Your eyes are more open and you're seeing, and then you have to see, why is that happening in that particular situation? And, what can grow from that, connection and shift and awakening. Because I'm telling you, man, in this world right now, there's a lot of people that are going through portals. There's a lot of people that are going through awakenings. There's a lot of people that are going through shifts. There's a lot of people that are not only seeing connections that they have with people, but they're trying to understand in terms of, what it is that they have with this connection and, growing from the connection and stuff like that. And was this person sent to them for a certain way or something like that, or just growing a certain connection? And there's certain people that are seeing, wow, this person has so much potential and stuff like that. I just want to bring awareness to this, man, in terms of the stock market too, because I'm genuinely one of my goals in terms of the market now is, I want to see you guys experience a massive shift and awakening within your trading. And then once you have that shift and awakening, that could potentially, come out in different areas of your life and not just trading, man. So like I said, man, use this information. It's just very, very real right now in terms of this world that a lot of people are going through shifts and awakenings in portals. And I genuinely hope that I can, help someone shift and awaken and, connect within the market in terms of this overall way. Because I'm telling you, this curriculum works, but you have to show up. You have to capture this in real time, man. You really got to see through all of the layers. You got to be able to see through all of the layers within the market, to have the cards within the stock market, to use the cards properly, the deck, to use the deck properly, to use the deck properly within the stock market. My main deck is the daily chart, the 30-minute candlesticks, daily chart foundation, 30-minute candlesticks, understanding the strategies, the placements, dissecting the 30-minute chart, understanding the patterns, understanding the loops, the break of trends, the break of fucking patterns, man. Look, you keep using this game plan, use this information, you're going to see shifts in your trading. You're going to see awakenings, man. You're going to see so much more, man. This is the absolute best time, man, to be trading. So it's the first link down below in the description if you would like to join us and trade alongside us. In terms of my trading, my first trade was a nice win. It ended up being a massive win because I ended up adding to my overall position on call options. It was absolutely phenomenal. I was buying calls into this range right here. The first trade was fucking perfect. I went 3 for 5, not the highest win rate, but I was already green enough to walk away. So I made sure that I didn't risk going red, and I fucking crushed it. And it was literally just on calls. The first trades were working out overall. The last two towards the end were not the best, but it doesn't matter because I made sure that I stuck to my rule. Our rule is when you're green enough to walk away, which is one big win or 2 small wins in a row, you have to force yourself to risk 25 to 50% of your realized gains max. If you give it back, then you have to force yourself to stop trading, right? So I did absolutely phenomenal because I was green enough to walk away within the first trades, right? The final trades, I got a little bit caught up here in this downtrend with the calls, but again, it had no effect on me because I was still green for the overall day, right? So basically, if you would have taken all the trades, I mean, you could picture it something where like you could have been up, let's say, like $1,000, right? If you had I would say like a $5,000 account in that particular situation, and you would have given back probably like $300 to $350 in profits. That's if you had like a $5,000 account, right? Just trying to give an example for those of you who have more smaller accounts. So with that being said, man, for those of you who are serious about trading alongside us, is going to be the first link down below within the description, man. If you would like to join us, you gain access to our secured private network, our community. You gain access to a real-time zero-date options trade alert system where you get to see all of the trade, where you get to see our trades alerted within real time. It's the first link down below within the description. In terms of G-Roar, it was not his overall best day today. In terms of my trading, it was very good in the beginning, and then towards the end, it wasn't the absolute best. But like I said, I made sure that I stuck to my overall risk management system, which means when you're green enough to walk away, and if you choose to keep on trading, the most risk is 25 to 50% of your overall gains. So, for those of you who are serious about trading real-time zero-day options alongside with us, it is the first link down below within the description. These trades are extremely low risk, very, very low barrier to entry, very, very cheap trades with the highest reward, highest potential, right? It's the best system to optimize for within the stock market. And we choose to do this with SPY because SPY is the zero days, but also SPY is the most predictable, lucrative symbol to be trading, where it works very, very consistently and well with the overall curriculum that I teach you with the game plans. You will start to see on how predictable and amazing it is to trade SPY. And you'll see that if you trade SPY, the best asset class to pair with SPY is far out of money zero day options if you're on the highest level of trading, right? So we have a real-time zero day options trade alert system. Very, very cheap, low risk, low barrier to entry. You're going to see that, in terms of the system, once you join the group, you get to experience it. But just to give you some background, our max risk per trade is what we put into the trades. The most we risk is what we put into the trade, right? So could be a couple percent of your account, right? Obviously, the trades tend to be around 50 cents a contract, multiplied by $150 a contract, right? Every single contract that you can buy with us, you can make $100 to $200 in profit, which means every single trade that we make, and there's many trades per day usually, you can make back the cost of the monthly subscription. That means if you just buy one contract and you just take one trade, you can make back the cost of the monthly subscription. And in terms of the week, every single week, there's usually 50 fucking trades, and we have the highest win rate within the fucking game. It's cheap, it's low risk, lowest barrier to entry with trading, highest reward, biggest upside potential, and in terms of the zero-day options, you know exactly how much money you can lose. The most you lose is what you put in. What you put in is your max risk per trade. Therefore, you are detached. You see, we figured out a way where instead of traders feel the need to be attached to having a stop loss, they don't need to do that. The most you lose is what you put in. What you put in is 2-3% of your account, right? You're no longer attached to a stop loss. You are now detached from a stop loss. What are the advantages to being detached from a stop loss? This means that you can turn losers into winners just by holding your trades. And if you set a profit stop when you're green, it's impossible to go green to red, which is something that we do. We do set profit stops, right? So you're in a situation where 70% of the time, when we are down 99% on a trade, it comes back to life and it goes green. So if you just hold the trade that's down, it comes back to life and it goes green, detached from the stop loss while not taking on extra risk, right? So that's one thing that we've done. We've detached traders from stop losses. We put them in situations where when we do enter a losing play, if you hold it 70% of the time, it's going to come back to life and go green. Therefore, making losing a personal choice. If you were to just hold the trades, vast majority of the time, it goes green, right? In terms of another part of our system, we only choose to add to winners. The reason why we only choose to add to winners is because when you add to a winner, you increase the wins, right? So if you add to a winner, you increase the overall wins. Now, with that being said, when you're adding to a winner, you're going to double to triple your gains. You can think about it like this. In terms of your trade, your entry, you put in 1 R multiple, your max risk per trade. When you add, every time you add could be like adding an extra R multiple. You can add 2 to 3 R you can add 1 to 2 more R multiples, which means in terms of your entire position size, you can have 2 to 3 R multiples, which means you're going to double to triple your gains just by adding. How do you protect that? You set a profit stop. If you set a profit stop, it is impossible to go green to red. You get stopped out for profit. If you move your profit stop up higher, that means that once the market has a big move against your trade, you get profit stopped out at where your profit stop is set, not where the market moves to, right? So that's how we increase our gains and increase our wins. You're going to see this is the strongest foundation to be successful within trading with the lowest win rate. There's zero-day option traders who are successful trading zero-day options because they make 1,000% wins. If you make a 1,000% win every single week, that means you could have 9 100% losses and still be profitable with a 10% win rate. All of a sudden, we've disrupted and we broke the illusion. That's what traders need to see. Traders need to wake the fuck up and see through the fucking illusion. They need to see through the fucking detachment. Not using a stop loss is a de-fucking attachment. And then in terms of the illusion, the fucking illusion, breaking through this illusion. Wow, having a win rate, having a high win rate. Having a high win rate is not a strong foundation. Now, if you can have a high win rate on the strongest foundation, that means you are on the absolute top tier of trading, which is what we're on. You know, 0 to 8 options trading is the best system to use within the overall market if you're trading with real money. But if you can figure out how to have a high win rate doing this, it means you're the absolute fucking best at fucking doing this the way we fucking do it, man. But you don't need it. Like I said, there's 0 to 8 option traders who are successful because every single week they hit 1,000% returns and they know how to manage their risk accordingly. They built a system. Options give you options, but far out of the money options give you unlimited fucking options to create the most unique system within the stock market, right? So I'm telling you, you got to see through these. You got to see through the illusions, man. The illusions of attachment. Why are traders using stop losses? Why use a stop loss? See through the illusions of everything. See through the illusions of this win rate. Why do you need a high win rate to be successful when you can have a system where you can be successful, a foundation with a low win rate? Why not build off of the strongest foundation first, then try to increase your win rate, right? Some traders are just trying to build off of a fucking illusion. They don't even know what they're doing or fucking thinking. They just try to follow others just like sheep in a sense. Like, okay, use fucking stop losses. Why are you using a stop loss? Why aren't you holding your trades longer? Oh, I'm not holding my trades longer because I have a stop loss. And, since I have a tight stop loss, I'm not able to hold longer because I keep getting fucking stopped out, right? And I'm sizing in so big. I don't feel comfortable holding that big size. I'm sizing in so fucking big here. I'm just trained myself to sell for smaller fucking wins because I'm sized in so fucking big. You got to see through illusions on why people do things, why things are a certain way, right? Some people don't have intuition. If you trade without your intuition, I will say that it's the sell will be one of the hardest parts in certain ways. Holding can be extremely difficult too if you're not tapped in to your intuition. You guys need to understand, you can develop connections within anything in life. You can develop connections within the stock market, within patterns, within 30-minute charts. You can be deeply connected to something within the market, even within the communities where you just know through the connection, through your intuition, through your spirit, you just know if something's going to work or not, or you'll be able to see through something that you did if you're connected within it, man. It can get very, very deep, man. So like I'm saying, man, you got to be able to gain this overall experience. As you start trading, you're going to start to tap in, in experiencing life, you'll start to tap into different realms of trading, different, you'll start to see through illusions. You'll start to see through detachments. You start to see connections and what kind of connection is here, what you can get from these connections, what's growing within these connections. Is the connection even right within the overall, situation? You start to see through everything within the stock markets, man. You start to see through the entire fucking matrix of this fucking market, man. So I'm telling you, man, it's the first link down below. If you want to experience trading alongside with us, it's the first link down below. Within the description, you're going to experience a real-time 0 to 8 options trade alert system that is printing money at the speed of fucking light. You're going to experience our secured private network. I'm telling you, man, if you're serious about growing and evolving, this is the best community that you could be a part of. And if you're serious about gaining access to the best real-time 0 to 8 options trade alert system, is the first link down below within the description, man. You're going to see non-stop unlimited fucking winning, unlimited fucking printing, adding to winners, no fucking stop loss. So like I'm saying, man, just really want you to evolve, start evolving as a trader and start seeing through everything, man, and start seeing why other people do things. Why do certain traders use stop losses, right? And if they do use stop losses, do they size in big? Are they adding to losers? Are they adding to winners? Why is it that we're doing everything differently, right? You got to be able to see through that. We do things differently because we have a system. And it's the best fucking system within the market. It's cheap, low risk. Rich people trade this system because they prefer to pay less, to risk less, to make the biggest percentage gains, to trade in a way that's secured, that's low risk. Wouldn't you want to be successful in a low risk way with the strongest foundation rather than trying to be successful in a way that requires you to have more fucking money, but you make less fucking gains, right? Why would we take bigger position sizes, buy in the money options, pay for something more expensive when we can always pay less, risk less, make more? Cheaper contracts also means smaller position sizes. And it also means bigger percentage gains. We're putting ourselves in situations where we can be profitable and make a very, very good living just off trading just with fucking small accounts if you wanted to, or if you ever put in that position for whatever reason. But like I said, rich people prefer to trade this way because they know it's the strongest foundation and you pay less, you risk less, and you make the biggest percentage gains and you increase the winners. we're able to double to triple our gains by winning. That also counts as like 2 to 3 wins. It also counts as not just double the dollar gains, but double the percentage gains. All of a sudden, if we buy a trade and it goes to 0 and it doesn't work out, it's like, okay, you lost 100%. But let's say we added to a winner and that winner was a 1,000% win. It's no longer a 1,000% win. Now it's a 2,000 to 3,000% win if you added an extra 1 to 2R multiples. So like 100% loss is 100% loss. But if we had a winner and we added to the winner and it was a 1,000% win, that's a 2,000 to 3,000% gain, right? On just one fucking trade. All of a sudden, the win rate means absolutely fucking nothing because we're adding to winners, we're setting profit stops, and we're making the biggest percentage fucking gains. Don't you see through all the fucking illusions of fucking trading, man, and adding to winners is the safest way fucking possible. Why would we add to a loser? Adding to a loser would make no fucking sense. If we add to a loser, we're digging the hole deeper. If we add to a loser, we're no longer in a situation where we can add to a winner and just set a profit stop. We can add to a winner, set profit stop, worst case scenario in that particular situation, right? We get stopped out for profit. If we add to a loser and the trade keeps on going down, we fucking lose if it doesn't come back to life and we lost more fucking money. But if we add it to a winner, we increase the gains without risking more and putting ourselves in a situation to fucking lose. And you're going to see when we add to winners, it tends to just keep on going within our fucking favor, man. I'm fucking telling you, man, it's fucking phenomenal what you can do quickly adding to a winner. It's a very, very quick move on the chessboard of trading where you can double to triple your gains, which also doubles to triples your fucking win rate, doubles to triples your percentage gains. Do you see all of the layers? It's not just dollar gains. Percentage win now, we're doing something with the percentage wins doing this. We're doing something now with the percentage gains doing this. We're increasing the fucking dollar gains. See through all the fucking layers. That's the beauty of far the money options, far the money zero-rated options. It allows you to build a genuine system where you can literally use everything within the stock market, within your fucking favor, man. You can create any fucking system you want with far out of money zero-rated options. You know, some people, they trade in the money options, they size in heavy, they use a tight stop loss, and they sell for a small win. Just like that. Within a couple seconds, boom, couple fucking seconds, small fucking win. They're all fucking happy. Wow, just made $500, just made $1,000. They sized in a fuck ton. But us, we wait for contracts. We buy far the money option contracts, very, very cheap, low risk. We hold our trades. We let them expire worthless, go to zero if they don't work out. No need to sell for a loss. The most we put in is our max risk per trade. And we add to winners, which doubles to triples the gains. We hold for big wins, and we sell for the biggest percentage gains deep in the money when we bought far out of the money. And it's the biggest percentage gains, and all of a sudden it creates this entire amazing fucking system. Man, the power of fucking holding your trades for fucking bigger wins. The power of detaching yourself from a stop loss, right? All of a sudden, all these fucking losses that people have been having because they're getting stopped out could have been wins if they didn't set the stop loss and if they traded the trend, which we fucking did. I mean, if you watched last night's video with your eyes fucking open, you should have understand that last night's video was a perfect fucking blueprint to trade the trend both fucking ways. So if you're red, you should genuinely question on why the fuck are you red if you use the game plan? Why? If you use the curriculum, if you use the fucking game plan, what is the why? What is the reason? What is the connection? What the fuck is behind you being fucking red when I give you the bulletproof fucking game plan where this is the put zone and this is the fucking call zone and the 30-minute chart is screaming fucking bullish, 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 breaking recess, how the fuck can anybody be fucking red? Something's fucking off. You need to capture the pattern, capture the loops, capture the frequencies, capture the distractions, capture the disruptions. What the fuck is going on? Look deep, dissect, have your eyes wide fucking open. In this world, you got to stay wide fucking awake. Especially in this fucking world, man. You got to stay wide fucking awake. So, it's the first link down below in the description. If you would like to join us and trade alongside us, you gain access to our real-time zero-day options trading alert system. And you gain access to our secure private networking community. With that being said, I'm going to be heading back to our secure private organization.